Gereon here. Let's talk a little bit about why being the best supplier or even looking for the best supplier is not a good idea. Look at this. I drew this up here. Supplier A is performing over a long period very, very well, but with ups and downs, right? Because they overpromised or for whatever reason. Supplier B, they're just consistently performing. No news, good news. Which one do you think will be the better long-term partner? Long-term, of course, supplier A is probably the better one because they're going to get to a higher performance. But there's just so much pain that is being endured where they're falling down below the minimum performance threshold that they will never get there. And the takeaway from this is if you are performing in the supply chain, no news is good news. I will repeat that one more time. No news is good news. Once you get a contract, what people are expecting is that you perform. You will not get any pat on the backs. You need to just perform. And maybe you're performing a little bit above average. You're reaching all of your KPIs. That's absolutely fine and way better than reaching all of your KPIs, over exceeding your performance for some time, and then dropping below the threshold, because what will happen is what you will get kicked out. And it seems to be very obvious to me, but there are so many suppliers out there who are overpromising and then they cannot fulfill the requirements, and that is just a big problem. Another drawback of this is if you are adding additional layers of tech overhead and whatever onto your offer, that inflates your price. And when you inflate your price, you will not be able to compete in any of the negotiations. Procurement decisions try to eliminate as much emotion as you can. And so we're first usually evaluating what your technical capabilities are. And then based on that, we assume everybody is the same and we negotiate a price with you. So if you think about that, if your price from the beginning has all of these additional goodies that maybe are not even requested by your client, you might have a big problem in the negotiations, because you're not going to be able to say, okay, now I'm going to take this fancy AI tool out again to lower my price, or I'm going to take out additional headcount to lower my price. The negotiations then are purely commercial. So think about that from a competitive advantage standpoint. Everything that you might offer additionally, and especially right now in these times where everybody is worried about tariffs, everybody is worried about the world economy, how they're going to keep their margins alive. I think margins are between 6 and 7% on average in the automotive industry, and in other industries they're also getting squeezed. It's now the time to offer something that is a lean, good product or service that performs to the standards of your clients, not your own standards, what you can do. No, not the time for it right now, and especially not if you're invited for a bid. The time is to offer exactly what your client wants. Be a consistent supplier once you get in there, and then you can always come forward and offer a business case to your client in saying, if we add this additional tech tool or a control tower, or if we optimize the steel mix that we're using, we could save some money over the long term with this upfront investment or service investment that you have. That is the strategy, and I have sat on and evaluated hundreds of supplier presentations. I've gone through hundreds of bids, and I've seen this over and over again. Listen to your customer and then be a slightly above average supplier, not in any bad way, but your client will not be able to kick you out if you're performing that way. Think about it. with the stock market. It's a very, very nice analogy that I read in a book the other day, The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. There's always a price to pay for high returns, right? So if you're having maybe a fancy tech stock that you're holding, that tech stock will probably fall 50% every year. That's just my guess, right? Or cryptocurrency. And that is a lot of pain. So that is the entrance fee for your success. Now, if you have to stare your family in the eye every night and think about, okay, did I make a bad investment? Did I ruin my family? Can you even sleep at night? Do you think you will actually reap the returns for when that stock or crypto shoots up by 100% again? Probably not, because you can't endure the pain. So you will probably have to sell that. So, and that then robs you of the best returns. So think about it. If you're doing the same thing with an ETF that gives you maybe a 5% return every year, let's shoot low, and then you will have the endurance to actually reap big returns that are potentially higher than your crypto, because you're just able to hold on to it even through the downswings, because they're not as painful and you can actually live with that. The same thing happens in the supply chain. You work with a supplier who is performing well, but they are not giving you as much pain compared to a supplier who maybe starts out with stellar performance, but then they cannot sustain it. They ask you for a price increase because they miscalculated, right? So that is the same very, very important concept in the supply chain. You want to be the stock or ETF that somebody can hold on to for eternity, and they never want to sell you. I hope that helped. And if you are interested in a free consultation with 21 Consulting, check out the link at the bottom of the video. And I'd love to talk to you soon. Thank you so much.